head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Infernal Wagon. Hi friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're all cooperatively jumping into a wagon, going down tracks, going through tunnels, exploding things behind us, watching out for dynamite. All that and trying to get to the exit in a real-time stressful game called Infernal Wagon from Iello. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. Infernal Wagon is a real-time cooperative game where you're in this wagon and you're trying to get to the exit through the different tracks and make sure that you don't get blown up and that you do it in time. Now players have a certain amount of cards in their hand, anywhere between 2 and 4 depending on the amount of players, and players are going to be playing cards at the end of the track, and when they do so, they're going to be moving their wagon here. Now a star is wild, so that playing the horseshoe on that is just fine, and now we're on this one. And after you play a card, normally you're going to draw back up, so you have the same amount of cards you did before you played. And then anyone else actually cannot be the same person. Unless it's a 2-player game, then you can play up to 2 cards in a row, but normally you can only play 1 card and somebody else has to play the next one. And if the horseshoe, if this matches this, we're good. You just move this here. Now you can never like go back on your track and things like that. However, let's say that someone plays this, it does not match. If it doesn't match, this happens. That means you explode the last 2 cards, and now this is shorter. If it ever explodes the one that you're on, the game's over and you lose. The game is exactly timed 7 minutes. And by the way, it comes with a track that you can play through online, and it's actually playing in the background as I'm doing this video, so you can kind of hear it's like a Western theme. It's kind of fun. It sets the stage well. Now sometimes you might be playing cards that's like an intersection. Well, this doesn't match. We're going to explode 2 more. By the way, this was always supposed to be on the left one. And then now here you can go like up to boots or over to gold. And so you're kind of moving around the table as the game plays. Now sometimes you might play a tunnel card and immediate things happen. Like in this case, you must draw a card off the top of the deck and place it there. Now, additionally, since this didn't match, this happens, which means the player that played this will not draw another card, which means you're gonna have 1 less card for the rest of the game. And when that card's drawn, likely it's not gonna match, and then this would still happen anyway, so now these 2 are gone. Again, this should be here now. Now some cards might cause an immediate explosion, which means it explodes everything except the 3 cards behind you. So it might look like this. This one's a wild, so not bad. Now this didn't match, so the player that played this would not draw back up, and you could possibly have no cards left in your hand, and you might be out. And if all the players are basically out of cards, that's another way to lose. And essentially you're trying to get to the exit, which is at the bottom of the deck, to win the game before time runs out. Otherwise, you'll hear this. Now there's some mini modules that make the game either easier or harder. If you've lost one or more of your previous games, you can add in these easy ones. Essentially they're wild on both sides, so it makes it a little easier. And you add 1 of these cards for each game that you've lost before this. So it kind of gets to the point where you've won, and then you can start taking those away. And then if you win repeatedly, you can make it harder with some of these other modules. There's these silence cards. As soon as you draw this, you put it on the table and you draw another one to replace it. And if there's one on the table, you cannot communicate. But as soon as a second one comes, they cancel out and now you can communicate again. You keep doing this, so it makes it a little harder. Now you could also add all 6 U-turn cards, and if someone draws one of these, they put it on the table, and immediately everyone takes the cards that are in their hand and they place it down in front of themselves. Now you can only play a card that's in front of somebody else, so you're looking at what other people have and you're reaching for it, and you're just basically playing for other players, which slows you down a little bit. As soon as a second one comes out, they cancel out, just like how the silence ones worked. Now you can also play with curses. Each player gets 1 of these, and it's kept secret in your hand, does not count towards your hand limit. And what's going to happen is at the end of the game, if you get to the exit and anyone still has a curse in their hand, you all still lose. But to get rid of a curse, like let's say this is the one I have, I would have to make sure that a cowboy hat goes to a horseshoe, which again would make something explode because we didn't match. But then I could place my curse down, and that's great. And everyone needs to basically screw up or not match in these ways, which cause bad things to happen, in order to be able to actually escape at the exit anyway. Now generally that's how you play the game, but keep in mind, as you're going, the timer's going, the sound's going. It's really stressful, and you're trying to play as fast as you can. And you're talking and collaborating like, oh, who has a dynamite? Who has a dynamite? Who has dynamite? I have bandanas and horseshoes. What do you have? I have gold in this. Well, I have this. Who has a dynamite? Who has that? Well, you do. What else do you have? And you're talking, and you're playing cards. And it's all done very fast, willy-nilly, very stressful, very different from the way I taught the game here, which is like playing 1 card at a time. I actually recommend playing the game without the timer the first time you play it, just to give people a sense of how the game works, so they can see how all the cards work, and then play it with the timer, because it's a completely different experience with it. Now, before I get to the review, I want to let you know that if you enjoy my content on my channel and you want to get some bonus content and help the channel at the same time, I recently started a Patreon page where you can get all sorts of bonus exclusive material like first impressions videos, and many times I do it on games I won't just end up reviewing at all. You can also vote on which games I review, you can get stuff early, lots of different things, so check it out at patreon.com/GameBoyGeek. All right, I like Iello's small little lineup of games like this. I mean, the box is tiny, it can literally fit in your pocket. I like these little games that pack a punch in just a small little box. This game, to me, is most similar to a very popular game in this genre that really kind of made this genre popular, Escape the Curse of the Temple. But this is a much smaller game, and instead of dice, you've got cards. So it has that feeling. If you've played Escape the Curse of the Temple and you like that style of game, you're going to like this game. This game is a little bit faster, 3 minutes faster from the timer, but it's also a little easier to teach, and it's really fun. This is that, I like the real-time cooperation. I like cooperative games, I like real-time games, I like real-time cooperative games. I like that you're yelling at each other. What do you have? I have a hat and a bandana. What do you have? I got dynamite in this. Okay, who else has this? Well, what is, and you're trying to do this, but you're trying to do it as fast as you can. So you're not just doing it fast, you're not just doing it efficient, but you have to somehow balance moving fast and efficiently at the same time. You're trying not to explode too many cards, because if so, you lose. I like that. I like that some of the cards force you to reduce your hand size if you don't match some of the cards, and that makes it harder because you have less cards. And interesting thing, sometimes you could have no cards because you might be the person that needs to play a card, you only had one left, and you played a card and it didn't match and you have no cards, and that's okay. You could still, in some of the variants, help, because sometimes players have to play cards in front of them and you can play someone else's and then they're back in. Kind of cool that way. The soundtrack is great. It really does have that feeling. It just has that Western sound and it gets more exciting, and the soundtrack is really good for this. I like that they have the modules there that can make it easier, like the wild cards, and you can add one for every time you failed, and then you can slowly back it off, and then if you're winning without that, then you can go harder. With the non-communicating or playing other players' cards or having those curses that I showed, it's pretty cool. It definitely captures the feeling of those larger, more popular real-time games like Curse of the Temple, Escape the Curse of the Temple, Kitchen Rush, and things like that. But it does it in a smaller, less expensive package. So if you like those other games, you want something that's even smaller and just quicker to get to and quicker to teach, I think this is a good one. On the negative side, it's real-time. So a lot of people don't like real-time. If you're not a person that likes the stress of real-time, this game is not, you're not gonna like it. This is not for you. Real-time games are also tougher to teach because you've got to kind of teach this. So I like, as I mentioned in the end of this video, the overview, when you teach the game, teach it without the timer and play your first game, at least half of it, without the timer. Just to get everyone in the sync, and then play it with the timer, because it is a different game with the timer for sure. The other thing is, this game kind of makes you want to play it in a big, big convention style environment, but you actually shouldn't kind of play this when there's a lot of other people around. If you're playing this at a big game convention and there's people playing a Euro game where they're thinking next to you, they're gonna hate you. You want to bring this to a restaurant, you're gonna be yelling at each other, not great. So you kind of want to be the only ones in the room when you're playing this. Either everyone needs to be playing this or nobody needs to be playing this. So that's another negative thing too. But overall, I really enjoyed it. If you like real-time cooperative games, you want a smaller, less expensive one that packs the same type of punch as some of these other larger ones, check out Infernal Wagon. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.